Hey guys, how are you doing? It is Tiger Tank 12 here, or TheFrXion, and today I'm bringing another user requested video to you guys about the AMX M4 MLE 45. This is the Tier 7 French heavy tank, and it has been requested by one of the viewers, and yeah, why not? As you already know, probably, I think, I already made one video for the T44, which is rather similar. If you want to check it out, I will put the link in the description. So, the AMX M4 MLE 45, I'm just gonna call it the AMX M4. This is the Tier 7 heavy tank of the French line. First of all, the French line is known for the bad armor, and this tank is no exception. The armor on this tank is rather comical. It's nothing special. It's not good, and it actually shouldn't be called a heavy tank. And especially at that tier, the armor is just insufficient. But we'll get to that later on. So let's first get to the tech tree. How do you get to the AM4? AMX M4. Well, you can only get through it via the FT and the D1. Then you can move on to the D2, the B1, the BDGR, and the ARL. And the ARL has better armor than the AMX M4. So if you are used to the ARL with better armor, yeah, you're gonna lose that on the AMX M4. But the movement and the mobility is going to be a lot better on the M4. So it's going to change a little bit. The playstyle is going to be a lot different because the ARL 44 was rather slow and sluggish. The AMX has better engine, is faster, has a lot better accuracy, but we'll get to that later on. And also afterwards, the AMX, you get to the AMX 5100, 5120, and 50B. Actually, in my opinion, this is one of the worst lines in the game, the heavy tank line of the French tanks. In my opinion, if you want a heavy tank and an autoloader, go for the 57. It does have better armor. The 120, I think the reload time is about the same, and the mobility is just as good as the 50B. So, in my opinion, the 57 is so much more superior than the 50B. Also, the profile is a lot smaller. You're not as high as the 50B. I know this video is about the AMX M4, but still, in the end, it is about the last tank, the Tier 10 tank, because this is the tank you're trying to reach. This is the tank you want to unlock in the end. And I think the 57 is better than the 50B. That does not mean that 50B is worse or is horrible. It just means that the 57 is better than the 50B in a lot of the aspects. The 50B is still nonetheless a pretty nice tank, and I'm happy to unlock it once I get there. And I can draw a direct comparison when I get the 57 and the 50B. That's still a long way down the road, but we'll get to there eventually. So, yeah, the AMX M4. Now, let's see. You get to this tank via the ARL. This tank plays a lot differently. It's slower, has better armor, and the one thing that is the same is the gun that you can unlock. This is the 90mm DCA 45, which is also on the AMX M4. And I know that the 90mm DCA 45 really aims in really slow, or the aim time is really high on the ARL 44, and this is going to change a lot on this tank. So pretty much in my opinion, this tank feels more like a medium tank. So let's see the tech tree. So when you get this tank in stock, you're in a really bad position. You get a bad Tier 6 engine, Tier 6 tracks, Tier 6 radio, and you will start off with the 90mm cannon of the ARL, the one F3 that you can unlock. No, even worse, the DCA 30. And in my opinion, you should immediately try to get the tracks first, then the engine, and afterwards third, and in the end the gun. The gun is quite important still, but I think you need to have the mobility first before you get to the gun. And yeah, well, let's check out the details of this tank. Well, it is a heavy tank nonetheless, even though the armor is not as great, but we'll come to that point later on. The development of this heavy tank started in 1945. Initially, the standard French suspension was used, but it proved unsuitable for high-speed tank and was replaced with a German suspension in later modification. So the tank has a German suspension, and it was intended for high speed to be a high speed tank, and in the end they actually did achieve that for a heavy tank, the speed. Now let's get into the stats. Well, you start off with 1,200 hit points, and if you compare that to any other tier 7, let's take the Tiger 1 for example, which is the heavy tank for the German line. It is less than the Tiger 1. The Tiger 1 starts with 200 HP more, and the Tiger P starts with 150 HP more. So from the HP base, you start off worse than your competitors in the other nations. So the weight load limit is actually quite high for, or let's see, the Tiger. It's 60 tons, and on the Tiger it's 57. It's higher than the Tiger's weight load limit, and that shows that this tank is actually quite heavy. It also is quite long. The height is not as well as it is quite. It has a quite big profile, just as the KB4, for example, a little bit less, but it has a quite big profile. It is quite long and rather bulky, in my opinion. The engine power is 850 with the top engine, and this engine I really think everybody has to get this engine. It's really important to have the best top engine on this tank, because with the Maybach HL 230, you will be as slow as a snail. Yeah. Well, the speed limit is 35 kilometers per hour, so it's not that high speed of a tank, but it is still a respectable speed for a heavy tank. Actually, the Tiger 1 is faster, which is really weird. 35 gets you around, but still it could be better. Maybe you can hear from my voice that I'm not as enthusiastic about this tank as I am about different tanks. I'm not the biggest fan of this tank. That is mainly because of the bad and very ineffective armor on this tank. So now the traverse speed is 24 degrees per second, which is rather low. So you'll have to turn the turret and traverse your whole entire tank if somebody is trying to flank you or medium, for example. Then now let's get to the hull armor. So as any other French tank, the hull armor is a mess. The ARL 44 had better hull armor and was better angled up front. The frontal armor is only 90 millimeters thick. The angling is not really great because it's not a really big slope. It's almost well, it's not a 90 degree, but still you can easily pen this armor because it's only 90 millimeters up front. Then on the side you only have 40, which means high explosive shells are going to do a lot of damage, and 40 on the side, on the rear. That also is going to mean that you can get easily taken out by the side and the front and the rear. Of course, this tank is like any other French tank, very, very high potential target for artillery, and artillery likes to shoot this tank, especially since it has no armor and since its profile is rather big. So be careful, try to hide and stay in cover. Excuse me. Then the frontal armor is 100 millimeters thick. Unfortunately, you have almost almost 90 degrees angle up at the cheeks right here. 100 millimeters. It's not gonna withstand anything. Anything is gonna pen that. 70 on the side, also very nice 90-degree angle. Anything is going to get through there. 40 on the rear. Yeah, no big trouble to get through this tank. So it actually sounds like this tank sucks completely. Well, in my opinion, it is not the best tank, but it does work out. That is mainly because of the gun. Well, this is the best gun you can get, the 90mm DCA-45. You can also get this gun on the ARL 44, but with with a slower rate of fire and I think less pen, but I'm not sure. So this is 90mm caliber gun and pretty standard for tier 7. The rate of fire is 6.98, which is rather high if you compare it to the M48 patent. The M48 patent has a rate of fire of 6.82, and that is already rather high. And with 6.98, you won't have a problem with shooting a lot of bullets or a lot of rounds in a fast period of time. So also the ammo capacity is not bad either, with about 70, almost 70 rounds. The average penetration is really good on this tank with 212 on AP and 259 on APCR. And since you're only going to be facing maximum tier 9, you'll be able to penetrate tier 9 tanks pretty easily if you aim for the weak spots, and if you can't do that, you still have the APCR ammo. And the average damage is about 240. It's pretty much the average damage for any 90mm gun. The dispersion at 100 meters is 0.36, which is not that good, but not that bad either. It's like in the middle. Aim time is 2.9 seconds, almost 3 seconds, but in this tier it is quite good actually, in my opinion. If you look at the Tiger and the best gun of the Tiger, yeah, the aim time of the Tiger is even better. Wow, this is crazy. So yeah, the aim time is rather high with 2.9 seconds. This is as bad as the IS-7, I think. The IS-7 also has 2.9. And the weight is not really important. So yeah, the gun is actually the one thing that is making this tank or is making this tank okay, not completely horrible, but okay in my opinion. So the turret reverse speed is 30 degrees per second, not that high in my opinion. It is in the middle area, in the medium area. It could be better. The view range is 360 meters, which is not that high either. 373 on my tank because of the extra crew and the vents, and the signal range is rather high with 750. That is because you have a tier 10 radio in this tank. So what equipment do I suggest in this tank? Well, I have improved ventilations on this tank, large caliber tank gun rammer because of being able to reload faster. Then and I also have the enhanced gun laying drive to be able to aim faster because 2.9 seconds are a little bit too much for me. And yeah, but one of the things you could put on is a heavy spall liner for more protection against the ramming and explosives, especially from artillery. And yeah, well, I do have some bells in this tank that I want to show you guys. But let's first take a look at the statistics of this tank. So nations, there we go, American, German, French, and I only have about 74 bells in this tank because I do not enjoy this tank as much as I did the bad chat, and I'm pretty much I am not a French heavy tank driver, or I don't really enjoy them that much because I like to have armor when I'm driving an actual heavy tank. So the bells are only 74 as already said. Victory is 55.41, which is okay. I only survived 28% of my bells. Hits are 76%, which is really damn low actually in my opinion. Damage ratio is 1.33, destruction ratio is 1.68, armor use efficiency is 0.36, which really surprises me. It's better than on some tanks where I use my armor better, in my opinion. Experience, as always, I don't use premium, so my experience is not that high, 597. Damage caused to enemy vehicles, 1,000 377 in a average battle. Damage received 1000, and you can see that's just it shows my my aggressive playstyle. Damage to your assistance 254. That's spotting. Enemy vehicles spotted 1.04. Enemy vehicles destroyed 1.2. So maximum experience I've earned in this tank is 1,250. Maximum damage per barrel is 3,664. And maximum destroyed is 6. So first of all, I don't have that many barrels. Second of all, I am not a big fan of this tank completely. I do like the gun, but in my opinion, you do have to get some better things than just the gun. You also have to get like maybe great speed, or just a little bit of like, give us a little bit more turret armor, and so we can go hull down or something like that. So I've prepared some gameplay, and let's jump into that. So today I got two gameplays for you guys. This is of the M4 AMX M4, and I have to really fast put on the audio. I don't want to put it too loud. There were some requests to put the audio down a little bit, and just to be able to hear the commentary better. So it should be better now. So we're playing on Serene Coast, and we're going to start with the good game, and you can also see the faults in this game too. Of course, I am going to point out the good things about this tank and the bad things. So first of all, this is a tier 7 match. I am highest tier, and in this tier you can actually really play this tank like a heavy tank. You cannot do that in tier 9s, tier 8s. It's really hard to do that, and this tank is more better suited for a supporting role, and you will see what I'm talking about in the next video, because the next video is going to be in a tier 9 match. So you can see that I am I have to stop real fast. I stopped the videos a lot in the recent time. That's just because I want to point out the steps I did, and why I played like this. Well, first of all, I like to go to spots where I can have a higher position, and this is pretty much one of these spots on this map where you can have a higher position. And also, I want to get a spot where I can shoot, where I can use my gun depression. And since there's a lot of cover, I can just peek my head over just a little bit over here and take some shots, pop shots at the enemy. And since my accuracy is not bad on this tank, so you can see that we're pushing this 1-2 line, and the main action is probably going around this entire corner here on this map. So you can see that one of the very important things about this tank to know is that the gun depression on this tank is really good, but only if you aim directly at with your tank turned to the target. Because if you try to shoot over the side, you won't have the gun depression, and gun elevation is really bad. You will see what I'm talking about just in a second. So right here you can see I'm sitting in this spot behind the bushes, and I did not know that I was lit. I don't have sixth sense. You can see that the nice accuracy, and I'm bouncing some stuff. This is not actually something that is going to happen a lot, and don't get used to it. So you can see I'm trying to use my gun depression and stay behind this bush to stay concealed, and you can see a lot of the enemies are at B3 and B4. Take a shot. I have a fast reload time of 7.25 seconds. I know you can't see it, but it's really fast. And now you can see that you have to turn your entire tank to be able to use the gun depression. The aiming time, the accuracy is working in my favor, and I'm bouncing some Cheeto rounds. Unfortunately, right here, I bounced the Cheeto. I don't know where I hit him, probably at the gun mantlet, because that was a pretty nice shot. So you can see right here, the accuracy of this tank is really good. The reload time is good. The pen is really good, and gun-wise, this tank is in the upper league, definitely. You can see there's a SU-152 pushing, and I can still shoot even though I'm not fully aimed in. I can even shoot on the move. You can see that right here. So take another shot, put him in, and Audi is already focusing on me. So one of the really important things is that you have to keep in mind that this tank has no armor whatsoever. You are a big tank, really big in comparison to other tanks, and your profile is damn big, and you have no armor. Artillery is going to go for that because you are big, you're a big target, you have no armor, and you are pretty much just a sack full of HP for them to punch like a punching bag. And you can't do anything against the artillery except for playing smart and staying behind cover. So you can see I'm pushing up this ridge here. I want to go to B1 and support my team from over there, so we can push the enemy. Before I did that, I just took a quick detour over here to try to get some side shots on the heavy tanks at B3 and B4, but unfortunately I don't have any shots. So you can see my team is pushing, and you can see that the tank has a certain speed, and that you can get around with those 35 kilometers per hour, and it actually does work out. Mobility is okay in my opinion. For a heavy tank it's rather fast, and it's just the gun what seals the deal for me on this tank. The gun, the reload time, and this is pretty much the perfect spot to be in a AMX M4. You see I'm bouncing, or I'm taking hits from the KB1 for 0 damage. That's because he has a really low pen gun, and I can just keep on penning this Tiger 1. You can see the reload time, the accuracy is really good on this tank, and I can easily take care of the Tiger. So pretty much now it is all up to the RD and the IS and T25 to stop us, and you can see that our AT7 here did some pretty nice work. I expected him to be getting flanked, that he was going to get flanked by the T21, but he noticed beforehand and managed to turn around, and he didn't need my assistance in that case. So I decided to push on. With this tank, you can see the speed I have. It is decent, it's not the best, but it works out for this heavy tank. That means you can really move with the heavy tank from one spot to another where you need it. The gun depression is really good. The gun elevation is very bad in my opinion. The accuracy is very good, and the damage, the reload time is really good on this tank too. So the French tanks actually have really good guns, but very, very bad armor. You can see Artie just try to pound me right there. Unfortunately, right here I missed the PZ SFL Panzer Selbstfahrerfette 4B, and I still take him out right there. Now you'll see something that everybody hates in this game, and that is artillery. So pretty much I just got hit by artillery on the tracks. That's why I survived that. Still for about 600, and I unfortunately missed the Panzer Selbstfahrerfette 4C, which is a flak tank, Flakpanzer. I take him out though, and I'm at 4 kills now. I knew the artillery would be hiding somewhere over at A7 and A8. A7 or no A8, so I just stayed right over here. I knew I had to push the RD, or else we would not be able to push those T25, the T25 and the IS. Luckily for me, the artillery misses, and I'm able to put a nice shot into him, and then take him out. Now you can see once again the nice reload time of the tank. Really give you an advantage in a lot of situations, but your armor is not holding up most of the time. If you're going up against tier 8s, you're going to have a really bad time, especially if the tier 8s have big guns with high explosive shells if they get your side armor. So you can see we're pushing the enemy. I did 3,057 damage, and pretty much now the game is over for the enemy team. The IS over here is hiding and you know, just trying to stay alive, take as many with him as possible. And the T-25 actually went around the whole entire way to flank us, so I'm going to speed that up a little bit. So he comes up behind us, and you can see that we're able to turn, and the tank is, he's pushing up. And I almost got the Top Gun. I was a little bit too late, unfortunately, for that. Now, the one thing, well, I'm going to tell you the one thing in the next gameplay. So now, I gotta get. It does not always work out in the AMX M4 MLE 45, and you can see we're not on the top. We're on the bottom. AMX M4, and pretty much the rest is just tier 8 and tier 9. And you can see that the combination of a bad team, a team that breaks apart way too fast, then bad matchmaking. No, it's not bad matchmaking. It's just unlucky matchmaking, and the missing armor can destroy this entire tank. So one of the things that I like to do on him is always go to the 1-2 line, 1-2-3 line, and just sit here and wait for the enemies to push, or push myself. I don't like to go to the hill because the hill is always overcrowded, in my opinion, and the first 2 minutes there's pretty much nothing going on except for our tanks dying, so I'll speed it up a little bit. As I already said, the AMX M4 has no armor at all for a tier 7, 90mm up front, and 100 on the turret up front. So pretty much anything is going to pen this tank at tier 7 or tier 6. And you can see that we're losing ground quickly already. We already lost our top tier tank, and in addition, like this tank with bad armor, with a bad team, this is pretty much a really bad dose. So you can see I take out the T-21. That was pretty easy. I got a good shot in there, and yeah, well, he poked out. That was rather stupid. So the enemy team is pretty much pushing, and this tank, in my opinion, it needs a lot of space. You don't want to get into close range engagements because you don't have the armor. You want to get some nice sniper shots in, just like right here. See, I get the AMX, no, the FCM50T, and I have no problem with penning his side armor with this 90mm cannon, and I get some really nice shots at him. Not sure if that was a hit or not, but I guess it was one. I bounced one shot, and that was a lucky bounce. So you can see now that the T-30 is going to push IS and 103 and a lot of tier 9s. So you can see I'm holding my own right here. I am afraid, I'm deadly afraid of poking my head out, getting hit. So I take a shot at the Object 704, and you can just see the gun is working the target. Like, you have the accuracy, you have the reload time, and I can permatrack the Object 704. But unfortunately, now you can see one of the big problems of this tank. And I'm gonna see real fast where he hit me. He hit me on the turret, on the side of the turret, on the cheek. And 100mm is not gonna stop a 120mm projectile. And you pretty much saw that right there. And Object 0704 is an entire different story. I think he just hits me now with a high explosive shell, and you can see I cannot hide my tank, and the turret just can't take in any hits. So pretty much I take out the Object 704 with a nice shot, and since I have really good penetration on this tank, And I noticed that the enemies are pushing like all over the site now, all over the map. And you can just see the accuracy and the pen are working really fine here. But this tank is not made for close range engagements, and this is pretty much as close as it can get. You can of course get closer, but in my opinion this is already pretty damn close. So this T-30 is going to peak now, and he's going to take me out, and that is expected since this tank does not withstand a lot of shots. And you can see you can go under, like I got hit once by a T-34, then by a Object 704. I actually should have been dead if the Object 704 would have shot AP. I would have been dead. And this is what you're going to face in a AMX M4 a lot of times. You're going to be in tier 9 matches, tier 8 matches, and you just don't have the armor, and you will get beaten to death. I know this is not the only tank that has the problem. I mean, the Tiger also has a lack of armor, a severe lack of armor, and is also suffering. But I think the Tiger just has more armor than the AMX, and just has more HP, so that's going to work out a little bit better than on the AMX. And yeah, this is one of the big dilemmas I have with this tank. It's just the armor is that terrible. If you get a good team, if you can play your support role in this tank, you won't have a big problem. You will enjoy this tank, the great accuracy, the good reload time, and the high pen you have on this tank. But if you're playing against tier 9s, you have bad teams and bad luck, well, pretty much this is game over for you instantly. And if Audi gets you with one shot, that's not that uncommon either. So yeah, let's go to the results screen on the last match. So pretty much that shows you what a good game does look like in the AMX M4 MLE 45. I got Master the Mastery Patch Ace Tanker, Confederate, high caliber, steel wall, and sharpshooter. And steel wall in this tank is actually a big deal in my opinion. So you can see, as already said, the accuracy on this tank is rather nice, but it's a little bit weird sometimes. The shots do tend to fly higher or lower sometimes. I'm not sure. It's just with this tank. I did 3,162 damage. That's not that much, but this tank is yeah, rather nice. And yeah, you can see that I share the place with first place with Phantos, because he also got 5 kills and played very good. Damage block by armor was 1,515, and you could see that even though I was not the top tier, okay, I was top tier. Even though I was not lit the entire time, I was target of a lot of tanks. Artillery shelled me once. A couple of tanks shot at me a couple of times. I only bounced the Cheeto rounds. That is because they have low pen. But I really, all the other shots, if they hit me, they actually went through me, except for the KV1. Of course, he had a low pen gun too, so there was only luck for me on my side. But this can also go very differently, as you could see in the other video where I went up against the tier 9s. And you can just see that this tank gets completely wrecked in tier 9. In tier 7, tier 8, you're able, but this tank able to hold your own. But this tank is not really a heavy tank. No, this is not a heavy tank. In my opinion, this should be a support tank, because it is good at far long ranges. If nobody shoots this tank and you're able to shell in rounds into enemies for every 7 seconds, and the pen is really nice, you can do that. You'll be able to do a lot of damage, but if you're a heavy tank up front and everybody's aiming at you, you don't survive a lot of shit. So yeah, this was pretty much my not what to expect. That was yesterday. No, this was pretty much my my thoughts on the AMX M4. I hope you liked this. If you did, please comment, like, subscribe, and yeah. See you guys later.